Right, so as you all already know, there is a coronavirus outbreak outside and all the gyms are closed. Too bad for me, as I hate home workouts, but they gotta get done. And today it happens to be a leg day. And today I'm gonna try to figure out how to appropriately load my legs, get enough intensity to actually stimulate some growth. I have some tools for me. I have a few kettlebells. I have a 24 kilo one, which is this bad boy right here. Then we got 8 kilo one, which is probably not gonna use. I have some resistance bands, red one, the purple one, the strongest one, and then I have this one, which we're gonna use maybe for some warm-up things, because we're gonna start with some warm-up movements. And then also I have this one, which you usually see ladies using in the gym, but I'm gonna use it to train my internal rotation for the hips, so it's nice and stable. And foam roller, not gonna use it for much else than just to activate my internal rotation. And also gonna make notes so I can track my workout appropriately also, because if you are not assessing, you're guessing, right? So first thing I'm gonna do, a few rounds of 90-90 movement. You probably can find those online if you want to know what's that. So just keep an eye on. I'm gonna try to explain as I go as much as I can so you can understand what I'm actually doing. Right, so 90-90. You need to get both of your legs in 90 degrees. 90 degrees. So look at your knees. If there is no 90 degrees, it's not a 90-degree angle, right? Because a lot of people have an issue to figure that out. So there we go. Your shin and your upper leg, 90 degrees. In between your legs, 90 degrees. And your back leg, 90 degrees. Try to avoid doing this. So try not to flex your lower back. Keep yourself nice and upright. Embrace your core. And what we're gonna do, think about 2 rounds of 10 to 15 repetitions like this. If you can avoid using your hands on arms as much as you can, please do. This is gonna make it way more effective. What are we doing with this movement? You're basically loading your glute medius, glute minimus, your glute maximus. A few of those tiny muscles in there, opening the tissues up and also strengthening them in that elongated position. And make sure you're using minimal momentum so you can actually work with contracting the muscle. Also, you might get some cramps in the other leg, which I am having right now. It's not pleasant, but try to stick with it. So once you get 10 reps right over your knee, which is like this, then you try to get your chest right over your foot. It's not going to be as much of a range of motion as the other one, but try your best. Again, 10 reps like that. I'm going to do about 5 because I can't make 1 hour and 30-minute long video, but don't skip this part. It's very important. So then once that is done, hold your arms against the floor, lift your leg up, kick forward. Now we're kind of getting into the adductors and your hip flexors and a little bit of internal rotation. Try to get that foot completely up and back in and down again. About 10 reps. If you can avoid touching the floor at all, do so. Again, 10 reps and you're good to go. And then obviously same thing on this side. So with this part, you're mostly working on your external rotation. Later, I'm going to show you how to work on your internal rotation, which is as important as external rotation. Again, 10 reps. Try to minimize use of your hands and arms. Try to mainly use your body weight as a means of resistance. So this side is usually weaker on the external rotation. For whatever reason, you're going to find imbalances in your body as much as I found in mine. It is normal. All you can do is try your best to kind of minimize the differences from side to side. And then again, we did about 10 reps over the knee. Again, you might get some cramps which I do get now. Try to get 10 reps as close to the foot as you can. Again, minimize assistance with your hands. Again, try not to flex through your back like this. Flex through your hip like that. So you're actually getting those butt cheeks. Instead of using your back as a butt, use your butt as a butt. And once you got about 10 of those bad boys, same thing, lift your leg up, kick it forward, and try to rotate it in. So as you're gonna notice, on this side, my internal rotation is worse. As you can see, I'm not gonna be able to rotate my foot as easily up, but I will try anyway. Yeah, this side is definitely my weak side for this particular movement, which is okay. And again, just 10 reps. Avoid momentum. Work on feeling out the muscle groups you're actually trying to activate. Just like that. Not nice, but gotta be done. Now for the internal rotation. You can do these where you just kind of lift the heel for your back leg up and try to kick them out. In, knee touches the floor, foot stays up. But I have a better way, more efficient. Also, you're gonna activate those internal rotators a lot more. So, I'm gonna put the camera somewhere else. There we go. So for this one, you need either a foam roller or something to squeeze between your knees so you can activate your adductors. So, squeeze the foam roller just like that. If you have a resistance band like this one, do so, use it. If you don't use it. You can just do it with your body weight. You don't necessarily need the band, but it just makes it way more intense and therefore more efficient and effective. So again, lie on your back, brace your core, depress your ribs, squeeze your knees in the foam roller as hard as you can, and then split the feet apart. Breathe in, core tight, and relax. Again, nice 10 reps. I mean, they should not feel nice, but it's good for you. It definitely sucks ass. It's not nice. You're gonna get cramps. Make sure you keep squeezing the foam roller. Just work through those 10 reps. 10 is gonna be enough. Later you can do 8 reps for sets. Right, so warm up is technically done. I'm just gonna do a few body weight squats and a few lunges. We're gonna talk about how to load in each individual leg, mimicking deep squat position without compromising the lower back positioning in the squat. So it's gonna be as follows. It might look a little bit weird. You might haven't seen these lunges before. That's okay. You can learn them. It's not that complicated. It's not rocket science. Right. So basically, when you are squatting, you don't want to end up in a situation like this, where you round your lower back in there. For that, you're going to flex your hip flexors, which is this motion. Imagine you kind of pulling that thigh in your belly. Keep them active through the whole thing. And also, imagine flexing your foot up like that, which is called dorsiflexion. Plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. There we go. Those two work together. So flex yourself in the squat. Try to minimize the lower back rounding. So keep your hip flexors, the dorsiflexion active through the whole thing. And let's pop 10 reps like that. Make sure you're not giving in that lower back. Again, from the other side, nice and simple. Focus. So while we're doing this, just to remind our bodies how to do the squat pattern. Once you activate the necessary muscle groups, it's going to be easier to achieve when you're going to be doing your squats with resistance, and therefore you're going to be safer, Your joints aren't going to be aligned, and you're going to be nice and strong in those positions. Next thing, the lunges. So because we don't have the luxury to use weights, we will have to kind of find tips and tricks how to load each leg individually through full range of motion without compromising our posture and biomechanics. So therefore, usually we do lunges like this, or like a deep lunge. I don't like that because it limits the range of motion for the front leg. It's okay if you don't agree with this, but for this purpose, for this video, I'm going to show you a different way how to load each individual leg. So instead of lunging straight forward like this, we're going to cancel this leg out, and instead of doing like a pistol squat where you're inevitably going to be rounding your lower back because it's impossible to balance in a pistol squat correctly, we're going to turn your leg out, get in a lunge, turn the knee out. See, nice deep squat position, so you can see it better, right? The little leg kind of turns out like this. It's like a deep, low, knee to the floor lunge, right? So most of the weight is on this leg. And if you look from the side, see, my lower back looks nice and fairly neutral. But if you would do it in like a pistol squat, your lower back would look like this. That's bad. Pistol squats are useless. That's what I think. Right, so imagine doing 10 reps of those regular squats. Think about engaging your hip flexors and your dorsiflexion, and then do about 10 reps on each leg with those lunges when your knee goes out. So I'm gonna do one side for you to demonstrate. So get like that, leg out on side, 95% of your weight is on this leg. Engage your core, sink nice and deep, down and up. There we go. Feels like a full range of motion squat, but just with one leg, just like that. This leg is barely doing anything. It's just there for the balance. Whew. Right. So usually I would start my workouts with first movement, which is more intense. So to make that squat position more intense, we're gonna start with the single leg lunges, the ones I just showed you. Then we're gonna regress to regular stance lunges, not lunges, but squats. And then we might introduce some cocksuck squats and stuff like that. Let's see what happens. This is just me figuring out how to do a proper leg day at home, like a poor person with no gym membership. Right, there we go. So my workout is going to consist of lunges, and I'm going to use a resistance band for the first set, and then I might introduce a kettlebell in my hands for the second set, and then going to do about 3 sets of those and see how it goes. Let's see what happens. Mostly this first workout is going to be me figuring things out, and then we might film another video where we're just going to start thinking about progressions, how to progress with your movements, how to track progress, how to plan the undulate, the intensities and all that bullshit. So lunges with a band. So see, I'm writing everything down. It's important. You don't have to write the program down for weeks, but what you should do, you should write down whatever you did so you know how much better you need to do the next time. So we're gonna do one side, planning to do about, let's say, 12 reps. Let's see how it goes. Maybe more, maybe less. And then the other leg. It might be a bit uncomfortable to hold the band like this, but with all grown-ups, we can handle a little bit of pain. If it gets too bad, just wear a sweater or a hoodie, or you can put a towel around your neck and you'll be just fine. And again, make sure the other leg is out, and squat and up. So to be honest, it's not really as intense as I would like it to be, but I do feel quite a bit of resistance. We got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that's actually pretty good. I do feel a burn. 10, 11, 12. So the good news is, if you have a purple band, you're gonna be all good. If you have a green band, which is even thicker and stronger, use that one if you have strength for it. I might mix in a kettlebell. I get it, not everybody has a kettlebell at home. I do. I will use it because I have it. But if you don't, do more sets, do more reps, get better that way. Get better in any type of way you can. It can be reps, it can be technique, it can be how explosive you are for every single rep you do. It doesn't matter, you do whatever you can do. Just make sure every single session gets at least 1%. Do whatever you can do. Just make sure every single session gets at least 1%, 2% harder than the previous one. There we go, other side, 12 reps. It's actually way more intense than I thought it would be. 11, 12. So that's my warm-up set for the actual movement. Next one, I'm gonna grab my kettlebell. There are different ways you can hold your kettlebell, depending on how conditioned you are. If you train with kettlebells a lot, it's gonna be nice and easy for you. For me, I don't. So holding in a goblet position like this can get a little tough because my upper back gets tired quicker than my legs. But as we're doing single leg variation, we should be fine. I usually rest about 2 minutes in between. So with the timer on, 2 minutes. And the next one is gonna be band with a kettlebell. That's gonna be pretty horrible. I'm expecting it to be very, very difficult because this one was way more difficult than I thought. So definitely give it a go. If you don't have any resistance bands or kettlebells, you can also just use your body weight and just do a shit ton of reps. Nice, good tempo, and you'll be all good. Trust me. Band plus kettlebell. And remember, write everything down. It's so important. If you don't write things down, you're not training, you're exercising. And if you're exercising, you will get better, definitely. It's gonna be a good movement. It's gonna be good for you, healthy. But if you really want to achieve something, write things down. Otherwise, you're just kind of blind and really not knowing, like, are you progressing or not, and going by the feeling is not really productive. Because sometimes you're gonna feel like shit and you're not gonna do enough to progress. Right, so I got a few seconds left before I go. So I'm gonna show you one set, the rest I'm gonna do on my own, and then I'm gonna jump into the next movement. So this one is gonna be with the kettlebell. I'm gonna try to figure out how to hold it. Whew. So set up the band, good tension. So your options are, you can hold it on a side like this, which is doable, but you can't get enough range. But it's okay, you don't need to go ass to grass. And not everybody can do it that way. But this will make a lot of sense to most people. Go like that. Probably gonna get about 8 reps with this one. It's gonna be tough. Whew. 1. I'm gonna tell you one thing, it's definitely not easy. If you do this for volume, 4 or 5 sets will mess you up, no doubt. Okay, other side, and then we're gonna do them on my own, and then we're gonna jump into the next move, which is gonna be mostly for hamstrings. So we're gonna do 2 movements this time, probably for each muscle group, for 2 movements for quads, quad dominant, and 2 movements for hams, ham dominant. It's gonna be nice and simple, very, very simple. leg number 2. 8 reps. Right, so that's it for the quad dominant deep squat movement. Next one is going to be something to do with the hamstrings. So I'm done with the squat variation or lunge variation. I did 3 sets of 8 because it was way harder than I expected. I'm going to write down the total reps I did. So it was 24, and next session I'm going to try to beat that, or next week I'm going to try to just be better than that. So our next movement is going to be hip hinge dominant. Hip hinge means you can think of it like a deadlift pattern, and up just like that, focusing more on your glutes, your hams, a little bit on, not a little bit, but quite a bit on your spinal erectors, back and core too, so kind of everything. So now we're going to try to figure out how to load it. We're going to start with a unilateral variation, which just means just I'm going to be loading predominantly one side, one leg, just to increase the intensity. So we can do single leg kettlebell banded deadlifts. Kettlebell band deadlift. So it's gonna be 24 kgs plus band. So we can do it like that. Similar setup like we did with the previous exercise. We're just gonna get your band up, step in, the movement gonna follow like that. We hold it single arm with both hands, it doesn't really matter, and go down and up. There's multiple ways you can do this movement. You can go straight forward, you can change hands, you can hold it in both hands, but if you want to really stretch and amplify the glute gains, because the glute fibers, they go a little bit diagonal from your tailbone joint, whatever, to your cradle trochanter of your upper leg bone. Kind of goes like this. So what it essentially does, it not only extends your leg, also adducts and externally rotates. So if you do exactly the opposite, you get a good stretch, and then you extend and flex. So you kind of go a little bit behind your foot as far as you feel comfortable, and then you're going to notice kind of a little bit of a rotation here and up. You're going to feel way more in your glutes. So again, probably about 8, maybe 12 reps, see what happens. I think 8 is going to be more than enough for the first session like this, because it is new stimulus. Expect it to be a little bit different than your usual regular sessions you do, at least until you adapt to it. So up, other leg is just there for the balance. Brace your core. Whew. Definitely quite difficult. Few things to think about. Don't allow your back to take all the load. So make sure as much as you're loading your back muscles, you're also depressing your ribs. So kind of a little bit of a rounding of your upper back almost, because you want that core to create that intra-abdominal pressure and kind of take some of that tension off of your discs. So make sure that core engagement is as big as a focus as the rest of the movement. Also on your feet, make sure you squeeze the ball of the foot, this area, in the ground firmly, because that will allow your tibia to be in a better position, because if you allow your foot to collapse like that, your knee kind of tracks inside, right? So you're not going to be able to load the tissues properly. So engage, create that arch, keep it nice and tight all throughout here, and you're going to be all good. Right, I'm going to show you the other side, then I'm going to do it on my own. So again, much more difficult than I would expect it to be, or most of you would expect it not to be as difficult as it is, but it is. So high reps, 8 to 12. If you have lower weights or lower resistance bands, think about going up to maybe 16. So again, about 3-4 sets of these. Remember, write everything down. I mean, do whatever you want to do, but I would recommend that you write it down. And the rest of the sets I'm going to do on my own. Right, so done with my hip hinge dominant movement. Definitely felt in my glute medius and glute minimus and glutes and hamstrings in general. Loads of upper back, lower back I mean. I did double down by adding this resistance band to that to make it a bit more intense. I did about 30 reps in total. I did 8 reps in my first set. Then I did 12 reps in the second and 10 reps in my third. So this is going to be what I have to beat next week. So this week on the second leg day workout, I might just hold on to these same numbers just to get accustomed to all the lines of pull and all that. Like, you know what I mean. When you change your workouts, it does sometimes make you sore, a little bit more sore than you would expect. Right, so my next movement is going to be, again, squat dominant movement. I'm going to use both legs at the same time. And I'm going to use both of the rubber bands, and I'm going to hold the kettlebell at the same time. So let me show you how that looks like, how that will look like. So I'm going to call this goblet squat. It's not like it's something super fancy, and obviously it does help when you have weights, but if you, for example, don't have a kettlebell, just fill up your backpack with loads of stuff, put it in front of you. Don't put it on your back. I don't recommend that. It's going to load your back more than your legs. But if you put it on the front, you're going to be more upright. You're going to be able to load your quads more. So this is the goal of this exercise in my program at this point. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. This is just a suggestion. I like to load quad dominant movement and pair it up with hamstring dominant movement. And then I kind of load hips all around. So it's going to look something like that. Again, you can see that I'm using both of the bands, both of my bands. I guess it's easier when you step into the bands with your feet first. Then, whew. This is going to be a lot more difficult than the single one, because I'm holding my feet quite wide, a little bit wider. It's going to add way more tension. It's going to be nasty. So I'm aiming for about 8 reps again. Okay, I did 10 reps. Whew. So for some reason, my lower back has been quite tight lately, but it's mostly because I've been laying around like a potato in the couch. So you do get some tight spots and tight muscles. I might do a later video on how to tackle problems like that if you're going to be interested in it, because I learned quite a bit of techniques on how to balance out both sides in your body. So again, I'm going to do the rest of my sets on my own. Whew. Definitely a little bit easier than the single leg variation. So for this one, I would aim more for higher reps and maybe don't lock out the knees all the way. There will be some opposing thoughts on that, but I think you're gonna have loads of opportunities throughout your day to have your knees locked out completely, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. All right, see. Right, so that's done. Again, focus on embracing your core as much as you can. Remember the thing I said in the beginning about using your hip flexors. So think about flexing in the squat, not just kind of falling in there. And basically don't try to avoid doing that little bounce in the bottom. Try to focus on controlling that depth without relying on your ligaments. You don't need to go all the way down and relax in that position. It's kind of waste of time. And also it's gonna make it way more difficult for you to come out. So maintain that tension. Make sure you feel the muscles you want to feel. Kind of focus on feeling those quads. Brace the core, meaning actually imagine like almost you're going to do barely like 1/10 of a crunch. So you're going to get a mild rounding on the low upper back, keeping that low back neutral without flexing it forward. So that's going to be really good for your posture and longevity of your spine. So then the last movement is going to be, again, using both legs at the same time. Similar principle. We can do kettlebell banded deadlifts for as many reps as we can do. So I hope about 16 maybe, because it's gonna be a little bit easier with both legs. Right, so I'm gonna demonstrate how that's gonna look. Again, with this movement, again, remember about maintaining your foot arch. The ball of the foot squeezes in the floor actively. You can almost lift your toes up if that helps, because for a lot of people it will help to maintain that arch until you're going to be able to kind of spread your toes and maintain the arch. Very important. And also think about your sit bones. So when you start to feel a lot in your lower back, that means you kind of give a little bit of a posterior pelvic tilt. So that predisposes your lower back spinal erectors to do most of the work. That's why you feel the pain. What you want to do instead is, again, do that 1/10 of a crunch, nice and strong, and then push your butt cheeks out so you feel a stretch in your glutes. That way, you're gonna go quite low because we're not doing submaximals or 1 rep max type of lifts. So it doesn't matter that you go a little bit deeper, and you're not gonna hurt yourself as long as you can maintain a good neutral spine, maintain that intra-abdominal pressure, and lead with your glutes instead of your lower back. Nice and simple. Again, start with your feet first. Learn from my mistakes. Whew. It will definitely get your heart rate up. It's quite intense, to be honest. Make sure that the band is not on bare skin, because that's gonna hurt. Then I'm gonna start from the side. Get your belt in front of you. So brace the core. Imagine you want to receive a punch. You're ready for it. Make sure those arches are present. With your feet at all times. Leave with the sit bone. Grab the bell. Up you go. It's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable because the bands are kind of gonna be in your way. But with all grown-ups, we can deal with a little bit of discomfort. Push the sit bones back. So 16 not gonna happen. Maybe next week. See how it goes. But that's about it. I'm gonna do the rest of the sets on my own. And then I'm gonna show you a few burner variations if you think this is not enough intensity for you. I will give you one more movement, which is gonna fry you completely if you're gonna face it as an AMRAP, which means as many reps as possible. Make sure you try to get even reps on each leg. But you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. So the main leg stuff for this workout is done now. I'm gonna show you that last burner. I'm gonna do about 2-3 sets maybe. So basically it's gonna be another unilateral movement. It's called cocksuck squat. And let me just show you how that works. You don't really need any intensification for this movement because on its own, if done with a good tempo, is going to be quite intense. But I'm going to use a resistance band. So I will do it like this, because I'm going to start with my left leg, because therefore the resistance line is going to be in line with the leg I'm using. And like this, and go nice wide stance, and we're just going to squat with this leg, keeping this leg fairly straight. Just like that, aiming for about 12 reps. Actually, let me use I have a carpet, so therefore my feet slip. So most of the tension is going to be up. When you're up, make sure you're still using your hip flexors. Simply switch sides and do the other side. And think of the first workout you do like that as a test workout where you figure out where's your strength at, how can you use your tools. Then when you start to kind of get the sense of it, what you can do, how much intensity you can generate, then from week to week you can try to find little tips and tricks to make it more efficient, make it more intense, and so on. So this first workout I'm going to kind of take it fairly easy. Okay, the next side, other side, right leg.